And we're back with another Ask Me Anything episode with EXPLORE Pediatric Therapy. The most recent question I received actually has nothing to do with an OT question about a child. The question I received has to do about me. They said, how did you decide to start your company? And what's your story? So I will share a little bit about me and my story today, and hopefully you learn something. The idea for EXPLORE Pediatric Therapy started many years ago, and it took me a long time in my adult life and professional life to get to the point where I could kind of open the business and start the company. But going back to 2010 was the first time that I really wrote about it and shared it in graduate school. We talked about, we had to do an assignment about what do we see ourselves doing as a therapist one day, or what's a goal and a dream. And at that point I was already starting to pursue some of my certifications in animal assisted therapy. So my dream was to have therapy dogs and a lot of land and build this incredibly therapeutic healing environment and place for people to go to and retreat and heal and learn and grow. And so that took a number of years to get there, right, as life happens, right, when you're moving and starting your career and meeting your people, and I was getting married and having kids. There's so much that happened in between that. But my first exposure to just how healing the outdoors could be was when I was actually in high school. I spent many summers volunteering as a camp counselor at a camp for children with terminal illnesses. And many of the children I worked with were pretty severe, lots of end-stage cancer or medical complexities. And so my job as counselor back then was to try to bring joy and happiness and play into their lives. Little did I know that that would quite literally put me on the path to becoming an OT. Now, let's go to 2017 when I became a mom. I quickly realized that I did not want my son at the time to be indoors all the time. It actually never really hit me like a gut check until I became a parent. And it was around that time where I was still working in clinics and schools, and I noticed so many changes and commonalities in my caseload, where when I first was working as a therapist, a lot of my caseload was around children that had a genetic condition or were born with a reason that they really needed therapeutic intervention. And around 2017 is when my caseload shifted a lot to the invisible diagnoses more, and neurodivergence and things of that nature. So the other trend that was pretty, it's still evolving and newer, but the conversation was there, was kids being indoors and on screen time more. And so in my new parenting journey, I was reading all these information, reading all these books, and I read a book that really changed my perspective on how OT could support children. And so I remember talking to my husband about it a lot. Hey, I think I can do this outside. Hey, I think I can switch this to an outdoor environment. I think we can do this outdoors in nature. And long story short, in 2020, I was actually getting ready to launch the company, and as you all know, COVID hit. So I actually didn't see my first group of children outdoors under the EXPLORE Pediatric Therapy umbrella until 2021. And at that time I had been a therapist for just about 10 years, and I knew instantly, I was like, this is it. This is what I love. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm going to create the change that I have been wanting to create as a therapist for years, but could never really get there because of barriers: insurance, time, productivity, like pay. There was so much that was preventing me from being the OT that I wanted to be. And explores that gift. Like, it has really opened up the doors to how I work with families and how I support the children that we see. The mission has continued to just grow and evolve from there, because we know how much children need to be outside playing, and we have so much research to tell us why, if we skip all of that, the negative outcomes that happen over time. And I just refuse to contribute to that. Like, I want to be a place where families can get what they want out of life for them and their children, and we do things differently with a lot of intention. So I hope that answers the question. If you have a question to this answer, feel free, but that's a little bit about me and my story and how Explore came to be, and it was the best decision of my life.